Yager, thanks for having me, bud. Thanks for beating me up today.
Anytime.
Multiple times. Oh, dude. Okay, so I got a couple quick questions for you, just for people out there. Remember, y'all, is you're in Waco and you're shopping for MMA gyms and you're looking at the variety. We're about to quiz him, and then you can decide for yourself where you want to train. Okay, so first question is, give us just a quick little preview of some of the coaches here, like you, your style, and maybe some of the others.
Okay, so so I'm on the mats every class. I think that's a big thing. That's something that I picked up at a couple of the gyms that I really want to have an impact on everybody that comes in and has a class. It seems like every time I take a class off, I find like I get a phone call or something happens. I'm like, oh man, I could have been there, showed them this move, they had this question. But I think that's kind of the fun part for me now, is kind of passing that on to other people. One, it's great to have a day off, or at least a class off time and again. But my wife Mindy, she's kind of coming at that point now where she's trained long enough, about 4 years, to where she's been helping me out with the kids class, and I've been trading that class off with her a little bit, and I kind of get to sit back in the background and just mainly focus on the discipline of the class and let her do the instruction and everything, and that's really fun to really see her like evolve each class to get a little sharper, a little cleaner, and that's really all it takes is the repetition, just like practicing an arm bar, you know.
That's good, man. And speaking of kind of like the discipline, what type of atmosphere do you try to have here? What have you tried to create here?
Oh, okay. So I think it's real important that we have an environment that's good for learning. I mean, there's a lot of good gyms you can go and train at that they'll teach you how to beat other people, which I think that's really essentially what we're trying to do. But I try to go about it the right way, where every day you come in here, you're trying to create a better version of yourself. And I think that's ultimately what it means to be a martial artist, is that every day you're sharpening that sword to get a little sharper, a little bit more and more efficient. So when you talk about discipline, really the lunch class that we have a class at noon, Monday through Saturday, and I'd say that's probably our least disciplined. That's kind of, we've got a lot of professionals that come in and they've got an hour, and that's really what's available in their day. And I think that's awesome that these guys are high-level professors at Baylor University, and they're physicians and psychologists at the hospitals around here, and they have an hour free for their lunch break, and they get to come here and train with me. So I try to make sure that they get good mat time, and that's probably our biggest class.
So it seems like you have a really well balanced type of personality out of the students, because I met like a bunch of different people, so you kind of got a variety going, huh?
Yeah, I think that's ultimately jiu-jitsu's for everybody. It's not just for the people that want to be the MMA fighter. I think I trained with Helson Gracie for many years, and he always said that jiu-jitsu's not for the 1%, it's for the 99%. And the top level fighters, your MMA fighters, they're going to find you. If you're training legitimate jiu-jitsu, they're going to come and find you out. So I want to make sure that this is a good environment for families to come in and train, for people to come in that, if I'm somebody that gets bullied, I'm not going to go train with bullies. That just doesn't fit, and so I want to create an environment for people that want to learn.
Okay, so then speaking of bullies, here's my this is kind of a two-part question. In your opinion, and something that I don't know if a lot of people put a lot of emphasis in self-defense and the ability to defend themselves in life. And in my personal opinion, y'all, is self-defense is absolutely priceless, because living on a philosophy that nothing dangerous or bad is going to happen to you is very, very dangerous. That's my opinion. But let's talk to the head instructor. How important do you feel that self-defense is? And especially like here in your academy.
Well, it's huge. It's like, I think that self-defense to me is like putting on your seatbelt when you get in the car. It's such a part of life. It's been a part of my life since I was a young kid. My dad was my first instructor, so I grew up on the mats, and it's like putting on my seatbelt. I don't think about it. It's the first thing that I get into action on every day. I think it's absolutely essential. I think it comes down to the basis of, making a stand for what you believe in. If you come across a point in life to where you see something wrong happening, if you don't have the ability to, like, on the most primitive level, protect yourself in a physical altercation, then you're that much less likely to, like, speak your mind on an issue if something comes about. You're like, hey, that's not right. I need to do something about that. So many people in today's society are just kind of so quick to whip their phone out and video something going on that's totally not cool, instead of stepping in and being a change on that, being an impact on it.
Do you know what's funny, kind of off of that? And let me make this about me real quick, y'all. But it's funny because I was in a gas station not even a week and a half ago, and this guy was just completely yelling at the girl behind it, and she kept asking him to leave, and he was getting really hostile. And when I was in the back, I came to see what was going on. There was a huge line, and not one person was standing up for that girl. And I wonder how much of that fear that was over everyone was not just apathy, but also the fear of what could they do.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think you kind of hit on an important analogy to kind of look at within self-defense, and they talk about like the larger the group of people, the more the responsibilities kind of spread out, so each person feels a smaller, piece of that responsibility. But, that's when you really have to ask yourself, it's important, if you're really authentic and a genuine person, you'll behave the same if you're in a room by yourself, or if you're in a room with one person, a family member or a friend, or if you're in a room with 100 people. An authentic person that's truly, genuine in what they want to do, they'll be the same person in any environment. I think that, in today's society, I wouldn't be surprised most of those people sitting in line probably won't even make an eye contact with the situation. It just kind of spreads the responsibility off of them, and I hope somebody else will step in and take care of it.
So you're saying the self-defense is there's not just a need to defend yourself, but you need to be ready to defend a stranger?
Well, I wouldn't put that on anybody, but I think anybody that you have to go off of what you believe in. And me personally, as an instructor, as somebody that teaches martial arts, philosophically, I teach it to other people so that they can be safe in another situation. Well, that might also mean that if I'm in a situation, I feel like me interacting can create some safety for that person. Of course, I'm going to step in and do something about it, if I feel it's necessary.
But I agree with that. And I would almost say that it's like a good person, to be a good person, you have to stand against evil, right? So it's like, if you're going to be a good person, you have to stand against evil. It doesn't matter who or where it's going. It's like, because if you're not standing against it, then what are you doing? You're enabling at least, which is a level of guilt. All right, here's my last big thing. This is probably the biggest question. According to you, of course, and we'll let y'all be the judge based off some of the stuff y'all have seen, but why do you feel Select Jiu-Jitsu is the best martial arts academy in town?
Oh, man. Well, any martial arts you're training is great. But I tell everybody the same advice. Anytime my friends that I've trained with, they say, hey, I had some friends in Denver, said, hey, I'm moving to California and this is where I'm going. Do you know anybody that trains there? Or I'm going to Florida, do you know anybody that trains there? And then maybe I throw a name or two around that I know, but I give them all the same advice. I was like, really what you need to do is most gyms offer a free week trial or a free class. Or some of them even do more than that, or maybe you pay a small fee for a free month or whatever for your first month. But anyway, I tell everybody the same advice. You need to go to every academy in town, and you need to meet their instructor, shake their hand, and if they have a free week trial, that's a great chance for you to see how often that instructor is there teaching the class. And then you get to feel the environment, because no matter my opinion, I might tell you that this style is better than that style or whatever. It all comes down to wherever you feel most comfortable is going to be where you train the most, and where you train the most is going to give you the most return, for your time spent, your money, for training jiu-jitsu or training martial arts.
That's a brave answer. All right.
I don't have any problem. You can try everywhere.
No, I like
it. Because every martial art, okay, so I can't say everybody in town come train with me. That doesn't make any sense, because there's other people that are a better fit at other places. It really, who am I to say? I have Taekwondo background. So for me to say oh, you don't need to train Taekwondo, that's junk, because I'd be taking for granted the fact that I understand the concepts and the philosophy. Maybe you've grappled for 10 years and you want a little striking. I'm not going to tell you not to go try a Taekwondo school. You'll know when you try it in. The proof is in the pudding, as they say.
That's solid, man. And for y'all out there, I would highly, highly, highly recommend this place, because think about it, I'll say it for you. All right. It takes a lot of confidence to have an answer like that, but that is in all honesty, the correct answer. Because if you go around and if you try the places, don't get sucked into this tap out t-shirt, overly watching UFC nonsense. You need a place where there's camaraderie, there's humility, there's consistency, and then the biggest thing is there's teamwork. And yes, there are how many gyms out there sport a really big name, and then that big name is never there, or very rarely. Yager's here all the time, y'all. Come check it out, come see it for yourself. Again, I'd highly recommend it. So thank you for the time.
Yeah, for sure.